3 words. That's all it was. Typed out at 1:47 in the morning by someone who was supposedly terrified, supposedly helpless, supposedly standing in the wreckage of a nightmare. 3 words. And none of them ask for help. None of them say, call someone. None of them say she's been taken. Put yourself in that moment. Your wife's mother, 84 years old, has just been dragged out of her home by a stranger in the dead of night. Your heart should be racing. Your hand should be shaking. You should be screaming into your phone. But the message you send sounds like an email from a boardroom. Make it urgent. January 31st, 2026. Tucson, Arizona, one of the most expensive zip codes in the state. A mansion goes quiet. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, sharp healthy, is reported missing from inside her own home. No shattered windows. No kicked-in doors. No neighbors jolted awake by screaming. Nothing disturbed. Nothing broken. Just a text message. And a story that begins unraveling the second anyone stops to actually look at it. Because the cameras recorded something. The data captured something. And one witness saw something. Right up until the moment she decided she hadn't seen anything at all. Was Tommaso Cioni a desperate son-in-law racing against the clock to bring Nancy home? Or was he the architect of the entire thing, sitting calmly backstage while everyone else ran around in panic? Innocent bystander, or the puppet master. To understand what happened, you have to go back 24 hours. January 30th, the night before everything falls apart. Nancy Guthrie is at dinner with her family. She is alive. She is present. The woman has a medical wearable on her wrist, a device that tracks her heart rate, her movement, her oxygen levels, and streams all of it to an app in real time. She is monitored. She is accounted for. After dinner, Tommaso Cioni, Nancy's son-in-law, married to her daughter Annie, drives her back to mansion. He walks her in. He says goodnight. He drives away. And from that moment forward, he becomes the last known person to see Nancy Guthrie. That is the official version of events. Hold on to that phrase. We're going to come back to it. Sometime after Tommaso leaves, the monitoring app goes dark. No warning. No malfunction alert. No explanation of any kind. The live data feed, which had been running smoothly all evening, simply stops. And then, before sunrise, a text gets sent. Tommaso's name is attached to it. 3 words, dispatched into the darkness. Make it urgent. Who received it? What were they supposed to make urgent? Exactly? And why? In the middle of what should have been the most terrifying night of his life, did Tommaso Cioni sound like a man closing a business deal? Why does a man in crisis write like a man in charge? By morning, the family goes public. Nancy has been kidnapped. A ransom demand surfaces. $6 million, payable in Bitcoin. Untraceable. Anonymous. Gone the moment it lands. Except it never lands anywhere. No one touches it. Not one transaction. Not one withdrawal. $6 million sitting in the dark, completely unclaimed. This is where the story stops making sense. The official version says Nancy left that house, taken by strangers, gone before sunrise, but the device on her wrist kept running, and what it recorded cannot be explained away by the official version, not even close. At 2:31 in the morning, after the app went offline, after supposed kidnapping, after Nancy was supposedly already gone, her wearable recorded movement, 47 steps, inside the house. You cannot fake accelerometer data from across town. You cannot remotely manufacture footsteps on a wrist device. Those 47 steps happened in real space, on real floors, inside that mansion, hours after Nancy Guthrie was supposed to have already vanished from it. So let the question sit for a moment. Who was walking? 33 minutes later, the device records something else entirely. The heart rate monitor spikes hard. 112 beats per minute. For a woman of 84, that number is not rest. It is not sleep. It is not a quiet night. That is the body under stress. That is the body responding to something frightening, something painful, something it did not choose. Something was happening to Nancy Guthrie at 3:04 in the morning inside that house. Her heart was telling the truth, even when everything around her was not. The device captured every step, every beat, every second, while the official story insisted she was already somewhere else entirely. So here's the question you have to answer for yourself. Who do you trust, the story or the data? And ask yourself this. Why would anyone switch off a live monitoring app in the hours before a kidnapping, unless they already knew exactly what that app was going to catch? Tommaso Cioni, science teacher by day, son-in-law by marriage, the last confirmed person in Nancy Guthrie's presence before she vanished. From the outside, he looks unremarkable, a man who stands in front of classrooms, a man who married into a wealthy family, a man living what appeared to be a quiet, ordinary life. But investigators did not treat him as unremarkable. His vehicle was searched. The results of that search have not been fully released to the public. What has been confirmed is that the search happened, and that what was found placed Tommaso at the center of this investigation in ways that go beyond simply being the last one to say goodnight. And then there is the paper trail. While the family was in front of cameras, tearful, worried, making public appeals, something was being processed in the background. Quietly, quickly, a power of attorney document, signed over from Nancy Guthrie to her daughter Annie, Tommaso's wife. Done. Filed. Legal. Full authority over Nancy's finances, her medical decisions, her property, her estate, transferred in the immediate aftermath of her disappearance. Which family, in the middle of a kidnapping crisis, stops to file legal documents? Which daughter, with her mother missing, sits down to process paperwork? Who thinks about inheritance when their mother has just been taken? Then there's the footage. The masked figure caught on the mansion security system, the one the official story identifies as the kidnapper come to collect his victim. Watch the body language. Investigators who reviewed that footage did not describe a man on a high-stakes criminal job. They did not describe someone moving fast, moving scared, moving like every second of exposure was a second closer to getting caught. They described someone comfortable, someone familiar with the layout, someone who moved through those hallways like they had walked them dozens of times before. How many professional kidnappers know a private mansion well enough to navigate it in the dark without hesitation? And the ransom, $6 million in Bitcoin, the perfect crime currency, anonymous, instant, untraceable, designed to disappear, except it never moved, not a single transaction. The demand was made, and then nothing happened. The money was never the point, because when the goal is control, not cash, you do not need to collect anything. For days after Nancy disappeared, someone came forward, a household employee, someone who worked inside that mansion, someone who had no obvious reason to lie. She said she had seen Nancy inside the house on day 4, alive, walking, present, not kidnapped, not gone, right there in the home she was never supposed to have returned to. And then, without clear explanation, she took it all back. The statement vanished. The witness went quiet. The story she told ceased to exist officially. What does it take to make someone unsee what they saw with their own eyes? What was offered? What was threatened? What was the price of her silence? Around the same time, a PR firm entered the picture. Not a lawyer, not a private investigator, a public relations firm, hired by the family, while the police were still trying to figure out what happened inside that mansion. Someone was managing the narrative. Someone was deciding which details reached the press and which ones stayed buried. Someone was running a communication strategy in the middle of what was supposed to be a desperate search for a missing grandmother. Now, go back to that text. 1:47 a.m. Make it urgent. It reads differently now, doesn't it? Not a panic message. Not a man unraveling in the dark. A directive, clean and deliberate. A producer telling the crew the scene is about to start. Make the story urgent. Make the coverage urgent. Make the ransom feel urgent. Make everything move fast enough that nobody stops to look too closely. Real kidnappings do not come with media strategies. Real families do not retain communications firms. Real ransoms do not go uncollected, but productions do. Stage ones. The kind that needs someone off stage keeping everything on script. The kind that needs someone steady enough to send a 3-word text at 1:47 in the morning without their voice cracking. Someone who knew the house, knew the cameras, knew the app, knew the paperwork, knew exactly when to go dark, and exactly what to say when the lights came back on. Someone who had planned this. Here is where we are. An 84-year-old woman is missing. Her own wearable device places her alive and moving inside her home long after the official story says she was gone. A witness saw her on day 4, and then suddenly could not remember what she saw. A ransom was demanded and never touched. Legal documents were transferred the moment she disappeared. And a text was sent at 1:47 in the morning. 3 words, cold and controlled, by the last man known to have seen her alive. Make it urgent. This case is not closed. It is not cold. It is open, active, and full of questions that powerful people would prefer stayed unanswered. Nancy Guthrie deserves better than silence. Where is she right now? What exactly did that employee see on day 4 before someone convinced her she had seen nothing? And who was on the other end of that 1:47 a.m. text? Leave your theory in the comments below. Every single one gets read. And if you know something, if you have seen something, heard something, remember something, the FBI tip line is open right now. The number is on your screen. Share this video, because the more people who ask these questions, the harder it becomes to keep the answers hidden. This is a case code. I'm your host, and we do not stop until we find her.